All right, and welcome everybody. Welcome everyone to a spooky reading. The time has come for you to hear as many authors from across the speculative fiction community and indeed across the world provide you with spookiness, reverb, echoing. That's right, I said it, reverb and echoing. Hi everyone. It's Arv. What's going on? Welcome, everybody. Arv, otherwise known as Gregory Wilson, for those of you who know me as that. It is good to see everyone here, and we are here for an epic spooky reading. Most of the crew is here and is ready to go, and this is going to be a really fun event. I'm excited for it. As always, this has been put together and hosted by the incomparable C.S.E. Cooney and Carlos Hernandez. Claire has done a spectacular organizational job, as always, in getting a bunch of people together and in sort of coordinating how things are going to work, and I will let her explain all the details of it, but it's going to be great. Before we get started, just a couple of reminders about things. If you have not been to this channel before and you don't know anything about Twitch, well, welcome. And I will say that I am known on this channel as Arvin Eleron. I am an author and a college professor and a game master and a musician. I focus on story and narrative in all of those things, and so I do a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and gaming and stuff like that, and I also, of course, do a lot of writing and host a number of things. I have hosted many sessions of Infernal Salons using the Negocios Infernalis game from Claire and Carlos. I have done a number of readings of this sort. In fact, on Thursday, Halloween night, we will be having our annual Edgar Allan Poe reading in the evening, so I hope that people will stop by for that. So it is pretty exciting. I love having the opportunity to do this, and if you like what you see, please may I suggest that you follow the channel. If you're watching me over on YouTube right now, welcome, and please consider not only subscribing there, but checking us out over on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/Arvin Eleron. And please make sure as well, most importantly, to support all the wonderful authors who are going to be reading spooky work for you today. It is very cool to have all these people here, and it is a great honor to be able to do something like this on the regular. So I'm excited to see all of them here, and I'm excited for all of you. After they leave, I'll give one more pitch talking about the channel as a whole, but that is down the line. First, we have some awesome readings that are going to happen next. And so I am going to unmute myself and apologize to anyone that I interrupted because I could not hear them. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, if I did studio mode correctly, look at that. It only took me 12 years to figure out how to do this properly. Welcome, everybody. It is good to see everyone. And here you see an array of authors of enormous just skill, quality, ability, international presence, and occasionally animal masks. So all of that is what you're going to see from this crew. But I'm going to hand things over to Claire, who is to your left as you're looking at the screen, to Claire to introduce how this is going to work and introduce the authors and get us underway. Claire, thank you for doing this. And yeah, welcome and happy Halloween, everybody. Claire, over to you.
Coming and being with us. I just had a Jones. I sometimes get them to do a reading with friends, especially whose work I haven't heard in a while or who might have new work out, and I don't know. So I invited a bunch of people and they came. We are missing two of our readers tonight, Tanya Ransom and Cass Caw. They were both under the weather a bit, so we wish them the best recovery. So the way this will work is that Carlos and Greg and I are going to individually introduce our wonderful, fabulous, very spooky, scary, ghastly readers, and they will each do a reading, poetry, prose, whatever. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do. I just said spooky. And at the end of each reading, we're going to give them a gothic novel grab bag kind of prompt based on Kathleen Jennings' art and a written prompt that she has generated. And then at the end of the night, we're going to give you, chat, your own gothic novel grab bag prompt that you can go home and write your own great gothic novel if you want, off that prompt, off a Kathleen Jennings prompt. You're so lucky. What can I say? I want to introduce everyone to you really quickly, not with their full bios yet, but who we have here are Krista Carmen, Zigzag Claiborne, Kathleen Jennings, Jessica Wick, Mike Allen, Kanisha Williams, Juliet Wade, Rob Cameron, who also writes as Cameron Robertson, and Lisa Hannett. So welcome. Look, Cam's a werewolf. I want you to take a really close look at Carlos Hernandez. He's just so handsome. I married him. Uh, and I think like without much further ado, let's start. If you've got, dishes to do or laundry to fold, we're just so happy to be with you tonight on this spookiest of October evenings, or if you're in Australia, mornings. Hi, Australia. Um,
Good
so
day.
Krista Carmen, I'm gonna start with her. I'm just gonna scroll and scroll on I have all of their bios up on my website, C.S.E. So here's Krista. Krista Carmen is the Bram Stoker Award winning and Shirley Jackson Award nominated author of The Daughters of Block Island. She also wrote the short story collection Something Borrowed, Something Blood Soaked. She's in Through the Looking Glass and Straight into Hell, and forthcoming her novel is Beneath the Poet's House. I think she just turned in copy edits for that, or is doing them right now. So you can find her at www.kristacarmen.com, and I will just drop that link in the chat for you. Krista, won't you read for us?
Yes, can you hear me okay? Great. Actually, so I turned in copy edits for a different novel. I'm going to read to you from Beneath the Poet's House. It is ready to go, hot and hot off the presses. So I'm going to read a little excerpt to you from chapter 1. The voices in Saoirse's new house are back. This time, they seem to be engaged in a chant, and they're coming from below her. She races down the 2 sets of stairs, her hands slick on the walnut wood banister, then descends farther into the walkout basement. Even as she spins to examine the spacious rectangular room, Saoirse is asking herself how the sound could be coming from here. But then, the beeswax and bergamot she smelled upon entering the house grow stronger. Saoirse follows the scent toward a window on the western wall and spins in another circle. She's about to chalk the whole thing up to new house jitters when she sees the corner of the braided area rug is turned up. The voices, now a droning hum, float up from beneath it. Dropping to her knees, she pulls the rug back farther and finds herself looking at a groove in the floorboards. Antique strap hinges, a metal chain running through a small square opening. It's a trap door that could only lead to a basement. Do houses with walkout basements have actual basements? Saoirse doesn't really feel like finding out. She considers running back to her car. She considers calling 911. She considers collapsing in a heap and letting dread consume her. But what Saoirse does is the same thing she did 9 months earlier on a frigid evening in early January when she found her husband's body. She grabs the metal chain, pulls open the trap door, and starts toward what she fears. The stairs are unfinished. The floor below her is mere dirt, patterned with light coming from someplace beyond Saoirse's field of vision. The honeyed scent of candles and incense is overwhelming. The voices are no longer muffled. Oft since thine earthly eyes have closed on mine, our souls dim wandering in the hall of dreams, hold mystic converse on the life divine by the still music of immortal streams. Saoirse is at the bottom of the stairs. She takes 2 hesitant steps toward the light, toward the voices, then 2 more. The chanting starts again, the words both ominous and old-fashioned, the speakers, male and female, their voices lilting together. The room is L-shaped, and she can see the edge of a table beyond the jutting wall, a dark-clothed elbow angled out from a high-backed chair. Saoirse grips the wall and leans forward, sees the table is circular, draped in black crepe, sees the innumerable candles on its surface, the Ouija board at its center, the amethyst chunks and tourmaline spears, the crushed flower petals, the oracle cards fanned like feathers. sees the cauldron spitting smoke, obscuring the features of a woman whose head is bowed, shoulder-length brown hair parted like a knife slash down the middle. The chanters are not teenagers bent on wreaking a little havoc. The man in the high-backed chair is silver-haired, though seemingly prematurely. They are her age, 30, maybe 35, and they are immersed in their seance. None of their accoutrements are cheap Halloween props. The Ouija board looks to have been hand-painted around the time Emily Dickinson learned the alphabet. Saoirse thinks she sees the board rise several millimeters and struggles not to cry out. The candlelight. It's just a trick of the candlelight. Saoirse takes a breath and holds it until the tremors in her hands and fluttering in her stomach lessen. Before she can lose her nerve, she demands, "What the hell are you doing in my house?" A woman, not the one before the cauldron, gasps. The man whips around. All three of them stare at Saoirse as if she is the interloper, not them. "Your house," the man says. He looks to the woman on his right, eyebrows raised. The woman, in turn, levels her gaze at Saoirse, her black hair and black-framed glasses accentuating the paleness of her face. Candlelight dances over the black ink tattoos snaking up both her arms. "This isn't your house," the tattooed woman says calmly. "It is," Saoirse says. "I signed the lease last month." "No." Saoirse is hit with a wave of unreality not unlike that which accosted her in the moments after finding Jonathan. "Yes," is the only word she can force her dry mouth to say. The pale-faced, black-haired woman leans forward and takes something off the table. To Saoirse's surprise, the woman stands, and as calmly as she'd addressed her, approaches Saoirse. She reaches down, takes Saoirse's hand, and places the object in it. Saoirse recoils, then, seeing it's just a photograph, or rather a daguerreotype, stares at the image within the oxidized gold frame. A white-garbed woman, spiral curls framed by a sheer ruched bonnet, stares back. "This isn't your house," the woman repeats. Her voice is not unkind, but it is also not uncryptic. "Then whose is it?" Saoirse asks. She's annoyed that her anger is tempered by the stranger's refusal to act as if they're doing something wrong. The answer comes from the brown-haired woman behind the cauldron, words thick, as if the smoke has hardened her vocal cords into something akin to the wide pillar candles at her elbows. "It's Sarah Helen Whitmans, the poet, essayist, transcendentalist, and spiritualist." The corners of the woman's mouth turn down slightly. "And I suppose I'd be remiss not to include one-time romantic interest of Edgar Allan Poe." She forces Saoirse to meet her gaze. "We're bringing her back from the dead." Thank you.
And Krista, is that out like right now? It just came out.
That 6 weeks, December 10th.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh yes. Well,
Sneak preview.
I dropped the
Thank you.
link to on Krista's website to that book right now. I just
Thank
dropped it right there. But now, Krista, not that you don't have like 5 other novels that are due tomorrow, but we're going to give you a prompt, your own prompt for your new Gothic novel.
Fantastic.
All right. So I'm rolling 2 6-sided, right?
Yeah,
is
and
what we're doing for this?
I've got my own chart like that's right in front of me up. So I think chat, you can see the chart. Oh my gosh, I've got too many pages up and I don't know.
Yes, I have the chart up on the right. So you'll be able to see it there, and then I have a handout which I will have to expand, but I'll do that later. Once we actually roll the dice. So I'm going to roll 2 6-sided dice here.
Yes, and I will just keep track of them. I've lost my chat. I'll have to reopen Twitch somewhere, but that's fine. But I'll keep track of what the roles are, and I'll basically screen cap what you need, and I'll give it to y'all later. It'll be its own post, but just let me know.
All right, so rolling the dice, 2 6-sided. So we have a 3,
One,
and
two,
then
three
we
is
have
the
a
boot.
6. And
1,
let
2,
me
3,
just
4,
get
5,
the hand
6.
up so that they can see it.
3 and the 6. I think that is the book. If we go 3 across and 6 down, it's the locked book.
Yes. So do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
Locked book. Oh, well, the 3 and 6 is that, and then you have to roll the 20-sided for the Kathleen Jennings girls running from houses prompt, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So 3 and 6, and then 20-sided.
It's so complicated.
Okay, sorry. And that is a 4 on the D20.
So she arrives at the house in spring seeking glory. She is forest quiet. There is a legend of a schoolroom, the boarded up door of which hides doll houses. I will put that down. I will write that down for you. So this is 4. I'll give you writers, I'll give you all your pictures and prompts at the end of the game, but I'm going to keep track of it right now. That's good job, Krista. Now you have your 6th novel that will be due tomorrow.
Thank you.
Carlos Hernandez, will you please introduce our brother Zigzag Claiborne?
It would be my absolute pleasure. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world. Ziggy, if you don't know his work, well, you're going to know it in a moment, but you need to know Zigzag's work here. So let me scroll down here. You all should go also to Claire's page at C.S.E.Cooney.com. I'll put that link in there too, just so you can see Zigzag's picture that he has there. It is, like many of his pictures, just absolutely stunning. Here, I'll just kind of like put this link right in there.
It really is fabulous and very spooky. Today, Ziggy's dressed as the knight. We'll only be able to hear his dulcet tones.
Well, that's why I want you to kind of like to be able to imagine this man looking back at you. So, named as one of Book Riot's 6 of the best Black indie sci-fi writers you should be reading in January 2021, Zigzag Claiborne is the author of the newly released fantasy Breath, Warmth, and Dream. Other works include The Brothers Jetstream Leviathan and its sequel, Afro Puffs Are the Antennae of the Universe. What a great title. By All Our Violent Guides, Neon Lights, and Conversations with Idris. Yeah, that Idris. His stories and essays have appeared in the Fantasy of Fantasy and Science Fiction, Apex, Realm, formerly Serial Box, Galaxy's Edge, Giganotosaurus, Strange Horizons, the year's best African speculative fiction, and others. In addition to being, and I think it's Craigsby, right? A Craigsby Foundation Literary Fellow, Zig is a frequent speaker at libraries, conventions, and other learning institutions. You can learn more at zzclayborne.com. Also, this is just the human being that you want in your life for just every moment. Just like you're cutting a cake, give Ziggy a slice. You giving out hugs, give him 2 extra. Anyway, without further ado, Zigzag Claiborne, everyone.
Now that introduction was great, but it wasn't spooky. You can't be having pie and cake and spooky.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. I can fix it. Okay.
That's the stuff right there.
You're terrifying, Hernandez. It was also hilarious because you've got blur on. So
Yeah.
it was very blurry.
I like that
scary
the camera
panda.
blurred out. And camera's like, I don't want this.
yeah.
I don't want that smoke.
No, that was like a perfect horror movie touch right there, though.
Yeah.
So
It's like
we are
planned
good.
Where the main characters lost their glasses.
It's like- it looks like a panda. Yeah.
Somebody fed Carlos after midnight. This is not going to go well.
Thank you for that, Carlos, and thank you, Claire, and everybody for this really cool night, and it's only beginning. So I've got a little sapphic emotional vampire ditty that I want to tell you. It's called No Rain, and we're going to start right now. Great racking sobs, and then hiding behind a dumpster. The reek couldn't block out the tears. It just got into Tammy's clothes, Tammy's hair. But she didn't need Priya seeing her like this. The dead man had been a decent meal, but Tammy didn't want to hear the same tired accusation from Priya it seemed she'd heard for 100 years. You always pick the needy ones, spoken was such a sneer toward repeating and flaunting weaknesses that Tammy often had visions of seeing a sunrise, walking into a bright square of daylight and burning to ash, or tripping in some condemned brownstone and falling on a floor plank, ripped upward to a perfect 45 degrees. Never slow to point an accusation at Tammy when Tammy would have preferred a hug. Never slow to point out to Tammy that she, Priya, only had successful people in her. And look how she turned out. Respected, envied, maybe even feared, which was the ultimate thrill. Never cowering behind a greasy dumpster, behind a restaurant, hoping the one person who truly loved her would go away. Priya had never actually told Tammy she loved her, but you didn't stay with a person so long out of anything else. Of course, they each had other lovers. That was just basic biological boredom. But emotionally, when it came down to it, and there was just one other soul Tammy would find herself hiding behind a dumpster to avoid, Priya. That had to be love. Tammy buried her face in her hands. God, why were people burdened with emotions? Just once, she'd like a meal where there was nothing but memories of golden mornings, the brightest childhood ever, and maybe even just barely, a little truth. Instead of feeling like a child stubbornly hating its food and finishing just so it could finally move away from the table. But everybody couldn't be Priya. Priya, whose taste went to those breathed on by Fortune 500, or the athletes, or the rock stars. Maybe not the wildest of the wildly successful, but those with some wild in them, a touch of the feral and mean. The rhythmic clack of Priya's heels wasn't far off. It wasn't even midnight yet on a Friday party night. Tammy couldn't wait her out, then reappear close to time to go home. No. Tears kept coming from the dead meal. Remorse, regrets, betrayals, so many betrayals. You thought you were giving your best, open soul to someone, and they became the opposite of love, the opposite, the dream, shapeshifters, werewolves who carry their own moons with them. While feeding, Tammy had been hit with wave upon wave of anger and sadness, directed not toward any specific memory, but at life itself, which was the worst. But she had held fast and stuck it out till the last feeble motion of the guy's twitching feet. She didn't know if it was obligation that made her do that, or some sense of compassion for the guy, some lovely, tragic, romantic vision of her holding some dying soul in a mournful alley, feeling the last of them drain quietly, slowly, surely. That's how such people were treated in the movies, usually with rain, which was always perfect in the movies, came precisely when needed. It cleansed, it fortified, it renewed. Los Angeles, lather, rinse, repeat. Priya's hips made perfect infinity eights. Priya's heels were made of bone powder and resin. She'd gotten Arnold, that degenerate artist, to make them. Priya made love when she wanted to, dined with whoever she wanted to, and had not once had to hide behind a dumpster. Click, clack, rhythmic 8. She was 2 blocks away. Tammy took a deep breath. Get it together, get that shit together, she told herself. You do not hate yourself. You are not weak, a shadow, and Priya does not control you. You are not, what had the guy's name been? She felt in his suit jacket and dug beneath him for his pants. His wallet was expensive but worn, as if his entire life he'd paid the price for everything. Oh, God damn, you dramatic South. She slid his license out, saw his name, slid it back, dropped the wallet atop his body. Clark. You are not Clark. No matter what Clark went through in his life, you're not. She got up. She wiped her eyes, corners of her mouth, smoothed her clothing, prepared to leave. Clark's foot stuck from behind the dumpster wheel. She carefully moved him forward so that he wouldn't be visible from the street. She could do that much at least. Tammy put the wallet in his suit jacket and took precious seconds to straighten him up, Just an idle tug on the lapels to square the shoulders. Nothing too much. No point being pathetic and overwrought. This man's life had flowed into her in such a wasteful rush that now, standing, she still felt hungry, and she wished she didn't. Priya would be with her soon, though. She could just hear Priya now. You won't believe I found a group of highly successful people, and you would not believe the buzz they are giving me. The best. You are what you eat, right? Then that laugh of hers that hid everything you weren't meant to know. The approaching click and the clack in that dark alley. Was that love? Was that really love? The night was young, Priya insatiable, Tammy full of invisible holes, and the smell of food on the air quite sweet. Pick better this time, Tammy told herself, but she always told herself that. And then there came Priya down that alley. Gorgeous, gorgeous Priya. They weren't done hunting. A Los Angeles night and no rain. And we end with that.
That was so sexy and melancholy. It was like sexy and melancholy and sad and great. Thank you.
You're
I like
welcome.
sexy. Yeah, I don't know.
Mela sexy. Sexy.
Sexically, yeah. I don't know. That's
Sexicalia
Go to a
fragilistic
doctor for my
creepy.
sexicalia.
Sexicalia. Sexicalia should be the anthology we all make after tonight's reading.
I am such a horror weenie that I don't do creepy and scared that well, but I can do Sexicalia magic freakly.
Sexicalia freaky.
What else did you need?
Good thing I didn't ask for scary. I just asked for spooky, and I think this definitely falls under the spook umbrella.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so dice.
Yes, dice. I'm gonna record the rolls, and then I'm gonna. But yeah, so the 6-sided twice. Ooh.
All right, 6-sided twice. So we have a 3 and a 2.
3 across and 2 down.
And then,
3 is the boot. 2 down. 1, 2 is the crown. Woohoo!
and the crown, and then it's number 3. I think you may have read 4 before. When you were reading the ones out, Claire, unless I have something different.
Oh, I thought the last 20-sided die roll was 4.
It was, but what you read for 4 is what I have here as 3.
Oh,
The Arise the House in Spring
1,
is
2, 3,
4 is
4.
libraries.
I have that as 4. The Girl Was Restless was 1. The Girl Was Oddly Talented was 2.
Oh no, I have a different prompt then. The one that's fine. It doesn't matter. But yeah,
I thought I sent. Hold on. One prompt. This is the spooky thing, Greg.
Yeah.
Let me just see here. No, I'm looking you up in my email. You know how it goes. Maybe I need to be able to record it, so I do actually need it. Bios and pics, blah blah blah. I sent Greg so many emails. I'm like, hey, let's play a game.
my box is staggering under the weight of the email list.
I know.
It's just the thunderstorm I have is number 2. The Girl Escaping House is 2. Number 1 is.
You are absolutely right. That means Krista has a different one. Don't you worry. I will fix Krista's. Krista, you don't get that prompt anymore. You have a totally different prompt. I'm just going to write it down right here. And then, so now what did we roll for the 20-sided for Clarence?
We rolled a 3 for that one.
3.
So that's why.
Oh.
So we rolled a 4 for the first one, which I have as
Let's roll again. Let's roll and knock it 3 or 4, and that will be Ziggy's. He deserves something super special.
All right. Let's do that.
I'm hoping for lizards.
That is 6 is what I have.
Oh, we
here.
were 1 away from the lizards, but this is good. She discovers that the house collects trap doors, but mannequin who digs holes in the lawn and who slams doors.
Claire, you broke up for a moment there. Do that one more time. Read that one more time if you don't mind.
Sure thing. She discovers that the house collects trap doors, but in addition, there is a legend of a brooding mannequin who digs holes in the lawn and who slams doors.
Nice. Very nice.
And that was 6, you said?
That was 6.
Excellent. I've recorded it. and I've recorded his picture. Oh, so we get to move on now to Dr. Kathleen Jennings, speaking of, who helped generate these prompts and who made the art. Greg, do you want to introduce Kathleen?
I would be pleased to do so. Dr. Kathleen Jennings lives in Brisbane and writes Australian Gothic fiction and fairy tales.
We lost
Greg, we cut out. Hold on.
You cut out? Really?
He froze.
I will tell him on the Twitch.
No, I hear you.
Okay. Sorry, we lost you.
Oh,
You rollers.
that's not a good sign. Let's see.
Well, we hear him now.
Okay.
But you cut out for us, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me try again. So, Dr. Kathleen Jennings lives in Brisbane and writes Australian Gothic fiction and fairy tales and illustrates other people's books. Check out her short story collection Kindling at Small Beer Press, her Redbubble page at Tanaudel, TANAUDEL.redbubble.com, and this beautiful crowdfunder she contributed to as an artist, Elizabeth Jane Baldry's Great Oak Feasting Table.
Thank you very much. Very exciting to be here. I have a new book coming out in September 2025, so next year, and it's called Honey Eater. And I wanted to read from it one chapter and a little tiny ghost story that appears between the chapters. So chapter 3, The Creek. In the darkness before a dawn, Belworth Creek, strangled, invaded by netted roots, finally choked on itself. It retched mud, which sprouted teeth, clawed free of weeds, vomited out its own water, and became not creek. Wet leaves tightened around a restless musculature of vines. It opened its eyes. The green sky pearlesced into day. The thing knew that word, and knowing day, it knew it was alive. For a time, that immense, ingasping knowledge was enough. The thing that was not dead lay cradled in reeds while air bellowed its cracking ribs and the lives in the trees passed through its mirroring gaze. Having no feathers, not the honey eater's olive blue, nor a galar's rose pink, nor the pallor of a great heron, it understood it was not a bird. It was not a diving racali, for it had hair instead of fur. Dogs barked, and it did not answer, for it was not a dog. It wondered at the small plains that tossed overhead, and jagged edges of memories grated together in its drying skull. Under a high sun, as mud flaked from its skin, it watched a person in bird skirts tramp the opposite bank, a dog, perhaps, at her heels. One afternoon, shrieks rang in the trees. It recalled help, and then children. Crouched between a rotten log and a stand of bamboo, it howled an answer rank and strange. The children who, like their parents, had populated the creek with monsters, stampeded away. Evening. Windows gleamed uphill, where lay something the creature had held almost as tightly as life. The dusk was thick with insects, the grass rippled with toads. Desperation rose from the creek, scrabbling for space inside the skin of this thing that was alive. But the thing, the person, was learning the edges of itself. Words budded in its mouth. Mine, it thought fiercely. It found the children's shelter, and in it a rag it recognized as a dress, a barrier against the hungry night. Day, and the person staggered up to the joining of 3 streets. They saw houses, the restless fog of humidity glazing the road, the net of Belworth taut over older patterns. And they remembered, bitter as unused breath, another word, a name. And then I'm going to read you a tiny story that goes between a couple of the chapters. And the tiny story is called Chattering Jacks. There once was a boy who was rude and bad and ungovernable, said someone every flood night when the neighbours tell stories, but Charlie heard this first from Ida. One evening, marauding home through Tepping Park, he stumbled into a conference of chattering jacks. Now, chattering jacks have round, curious faces and brush soft tails like possums, although their hands are cleverer. They chitter snidely in the bushes, and you must never talk back. But the boy did not freeze. He jeered and sneered at each remark, and finally the beasts would take no more. They ruffled their hackles, their eyes gleamed green, and their cat claws glinted. The boy clicked his teeth shut and did the worst thing. He ran. They shouted behind him the whole way home. Under the stairs and at the windows they mocked. Beneath his floor and in the ceiling they scritched, scritched, scratched. Until dawn they taunted. Run if you will, hide if you can. You will never know silence again. For the rest of his life, he couldn't bear to be alone. If he was, wherever he was, he'd hear claws scrape and voices whispering, run if you will, hide if you can. You will never know silence again.
Oh gosh, it's so good.
Thank you.
I just remembered how I read that book and blurbed it, so I had to tell chat my blurb because I love it so much. It just, you just want to lick that book. I just want to lick it, but I'd probably die of being poisoned, but it would taste really good, like poison. Very good. Oh, but you should all read like everything Kathleen Jennings has written, everyone, and also look at all her art and also buy it. You know, like I buy it in stickers. If you could see my desk that I'm at, it's covered in stickers, and like 90% of them are Kathleen Jennings stickers. I'm surrounded by art. Thank you, Kathleen. That was lovely. I am. Oh, yes, we're gonna. Oh, Kathleen, I can't believe we're gonna pull a Gothic novel prompt for you, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, even though you made them.
I'm looking forward to it.
This is excellent.
Okay.
21.
Like that would be really spooky, right?
Mhm.
I should have made another chart where we did all the drawings, Carlos, you and I, and that would have been our secret Kathleen Jennings chart.
All right, whenever you're ready, Claire.
I'm almost ready. I had to take a screenshot of my email to you so I had the right numbers, but I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So the two six-sided are 5 and 3. So 5 first and then 3.
1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is the dice. 3, 1, 2, 3 is the copse of trees. Ooh.
Okay. And the D20 is 6, but I think we had that already. So
yeah, we're gonna roll again.
Okay. So 8 is that one.
8. The house is threatened by prophecies. The girl will only ornament its ruin. Oh no, that's 9. I'm saying all the wrong. Okay, 8. It's all happening inevitably, just as she dreamed. One girl runs from the house. Another arrives on a Tuesday, seeking peace and quiet. Oh my gosh, that poor girl. She does not know. So the first roll was 3 and 5, right? 5 and 3.
5 and 3, yeah.
Okay, cool. 5 and 3. All right, I've recorded them. Kathleen, you'll get them later if you don't already. Excellent. 5 and 3, and then 8. I believe.
All right. That is right. 5 and 3 and 8.
Jessica P. Wick is next. This is exciting. And it's my turn, so I get to read Jessica's biography. This is awesome. Jess and I were roommates for 3 years. She's very dear to me. I've known her since 2007, 2008, you know, many a moon ago. So Jessica P. Wick is a writer, poet, and editor. She co-founded Goblin Fruit with Amal El-Motar, a quarterly e-zine of fantastical poetry, and is a passionate advocate for the reading aloud of poetry and fiction. Her poetry has been nominated for the Rising Award and received honorable mentions in year's best fantasy and horror anthologies. Her short fiction can be found scattered across the internet. Recently, her novella, An Unkindness, appeared in Mythic Delirium's A Sinister Quartet. Jessica's experience as an editor runs the gamut from full-length novels to short fiction, poetry collections to magazine articles, academic papers to audio works. She also reviews books for NPR. All right, Jess.
Hello, I shall be reading some poetry. Mask.
Oh, yeah.
I will put this mask upon my skin, and it is made of leather, and it looks to be made of leaves, skeletal leaves, thieved from a dying tree. The mask smiles like a cat, is vine black, cool, does not change expression. When my man, a little ahead of me, I think it's he. I know his face, but, or I am mistaken. He's any man, fine figured, yes. And when he stretches his limbs, he is as gold as a lion cub and as fierce. He glances backward, and his eyeballs flash white. My blood burbles merrily into a stainless blush. What stain could stay when it is the mask? Oh, it's the mask. This mask, not me. And now my cheeks are greening. My hair is in blossom, and I will say, it was the mask, dear friends, which did those wild things. It was the mask which tore the young man's flesh. As sweet as a little golden lion cub, as sweet as a little golden grape. It was the mask. It was the mask. It was the mask, or wine, perhaps. Perhaps it was the wine. I will put the mask upon my skin. It will show no stain. What stain could stay when it's the mask you want, the mask you're interested in? Not me. And I shall read one more poem with a similarly reliable narrator.
Excellent. Oh my God, it was so good. Is that found anywhere, Jess, or is it squirreled away in your computer?
Nope, that one is squirreled away on my computer, although I run a bi-monthly literary salon in Westerly, Rhode Island, where you can see me trot many of these out on the stage.
Fabulous. Oh my gosh.
This is an oldie, but a goodie. And again, totally reliable narrator. Taken. I am in the kitchen. I am brewing rosehip tea. I am pouring a cup of orange juice and peeling a rind from the orange fruit, and there is an email to read from my lover, my love, whose presence circles my finger in a ballad golden band. And it is hard to be alone with the girl. I'll not be a widow, I wrote. It's a quote. But it wasn't. I just wanted it to be. I wanted someone to have said it. He writes about the desert, the dust, the strange foreign coins cupped like secrets in the palm of his hand. And we've joked about silk, about desert devils, about the civilized cradle. The girl is stalking something I can't see in the hall. I watch her. The tea is brewed. When I pull it down, the blue box of Kraft mac and cheese rattles like a snake's tail, like the tiles used to tell the future or the way the past lies. Mommy, she says, Frog crouched in the hall. Mommy, look, she says with her goblin's grin, sidelong. Her head is cocked, as if she hears something. And hear something. And I turn away from the tea and say, honey, just as she leaps into the light spilling from the patio, the open door, the light that is too heavy with bees, heavy like honey. Honey? But the phone rings. And I pick it up. She disappears. My girl disappeared while I picked it up. The phone, the ringing phone. Doesn't it say somewhere that it isn't fair? That the ringing of bells drives them away? I see how they've changed you on me. Your nose, it's too like his. I can't bear it. Now not alike at all? How dare you, you stupid thing, bring it back. Daddy's in a desert land where they wear dirt on their mouths and throats and say, look, red history. Red history. Daddy wears dirt on his mouth too. They should send him home in a box for the cleaning. Oh, look. Here's the box. Look! Look inside. He's not your daddy. Not anymore, lying there so still. You're lying still? Your wax and wood, your string and spit, your wooden cheeks, your wooden eyes. I want you to cry. I see you changing every day from what you were. Oh, yes. I see you changing. I see you, changeling. You have his eyes. You took them. I've lost my husband. Isn't that enough? He's under a hill forever. Don't you laugh, you little bitch, you little brat. Don't you understand what I'm saying to you? You want to go under the hill with Daddy? You want to go under the hill? You want to leave me? I'll beat you with a wire, with a fork of iron until you're black and blue and not pretending anymore, and that won't be his nose, and you won't have his eyes. You run so fast. My real daughter couldn't. My real daughter wouldn't. Are you coming back? Bringing my real child back? I see how you look at me with your eyes, and your hair is too like his, and it never was. It never was. Mommy hates your hair. Girl, you cut it all off, and my daughter knows. She is not supposed to play with scissors. They are sharp. And it's in the carpet, and it's in the couch, and it's everywhere. Like little worms, like rot hungry little worms, like twigs, and you never would have done that. Never, ever, never do that. But there's a way to get you back. I've read the books, I know. Girl, now bring me those scissors. The end.
Whoa! I don't know. I've heard it now 3 times and it scares me every time. It's very, very powerful. Oh, thank you, Jessica. And now we will give you a Gothic novel prompt, even if it means it might distract you from your swashbuckling novel. Maybe you'll just use it as a Gothic novel poem prompt. You can write a novel as a poem, can't you, Jess? Dare you. All right. What are her roles, folks?
All right, so we have 3 and 2. Don't know if we did that
3.
before. Did we have 3 and 2 before? I don't think so. 3 and 2.
3 and 2. That is, I gotta get it. So 1, 2, 3 is the boot. 1, 2, that's the crown. That was Clarence's. So we need something else.
All right. Let's
Clarence
see.
got the crown.
So 4 and 6.
That's the horse. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the coin. That's very appropriate for Jessica P. Wick. Jess does like a coin. All right, 4 and 6. Let me
and the D20 is 15.
15. The girl was long ago contrary, and she will become sarcastic. She is goose-eyed. She is what the house dreaded. That's pretty cool. All right. I'm just recording that real fast, everyone. You said it was 15, right?
15.
That's good.
That's right.
Because that's what I read. Excellent. Mike Allen is next. And Carlos Hernandez, will you please introduce Mike Allen?
Again, it would be my pleasure to introduce such a good friend to not only me, but to the Hernandez. Those of you who don't know, Mike Allen published Bone Swans, for which Claire was awarded the World Fantasy Award. So there's a long relationship here. Here's what Mike writes about himself, which I might have to edit as I go. Mike Allen has written, edited, or co edited 39 books. Among them, his new horror collection, Slow Burn. His first 2 volumes of horror tales, Unseeming and Aftermath of an Industrial Accident, were finalists for the Shirley Jackson Award for Best Story Collection, and his dark fable, The Button Bin, was a nominee for the Nebula Award for Best Short Story. As an editor and publisher, he has twice been a finalist for the World Fantasy Award. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing this. It's Rondan Books? Rodan Books?
It's Ruodan.
Ruodan. Okay.
I think I'm saying that right. It's new to me too.
Yeah. It's not a person I know, I'm sorry to say, but Ruodan Books intends to publish Mike's Sidearms, Sorcery, and Zombie sequence, The Black Fire Concerto and the Ghoul Maker's Aria, in 2025 and 2026, respectively. With his wife Anita, he runs Mythic Delirium Books, based in Roanoke, Virginia. Their cat, Pandora, assists. And you can check out Slow Burn and a new short story service sector at links that we'll be providing. And then you can celebrate his forthcoming normal series, The Storm Blight Symphony, at Rodon Books, and we'll include a link for that well. Mike, you are up, my friend.
All right, thanks for that. So as you might guess from me holding this up to the camera, where I don't know how well you can see it given how tiny I am on the screen that I can see, I'm going to read 4 short pieces from my new horror collection, Slow Burn. And the very first of these is a flash fiction that I co-wrote with Ian Watson, the science fiction writer, and it's called They Say That Time Assuages. No one loved time like Milton Chesterfield. He loved dates, regardless of what events they marked. He loved all the times of day, dusk and dawn, noon and midnight. He loved the weeks and the months, especially the leap year fluctuations of February. He loved minutes, and he loved all of the hours. He wound watches of all sizes and colors and wore them, bands of mechanical wonder stacked from his wrists to his elbows that thrilled as their ticking vibrated his body. His eyes met mine, full of eager gleam. Do you want to know the time? In Dublin? Paris? Cairo? Beijing? My watch's microchip can tell me that, I replied. I don't need 60 different watches. Ah, but you have 40 radios at home, all tuned to different channels. That's different, I protested. It's faster than turning the dial. It's faster to glance at my arms than fiddle with tiny buttons. But why should you want to know the time in Tokyo or Timbuktu? Because there's time everywhere. I mustn't lose track of it. What's the time at the South Pole? I demanded. You know, where all time zones converge? It must be every possible time all at once. Milton clutched his head. The next time I saw Milton Chesterfield, he was wearing shorts. From his ankles to his knees were more watches, evidently with extra links in the bands, or much longer straps adapted from belts. Even more formed a collar, all the time in the world spinning him from head to foot. I couldn't help myself. What time is it at Mount Olympus on Mars? I asked him. He staggered, aghast, and clutched at his chest. Ticker trouble. He'll need a pacemaker now. I went home and turned on all my radios at once, and I felt like God. The next piece is a poem called Edifice. Eons of water cascading over brow, cheekbones, chin have worn the face of the colossus almost smooth, the colors of eyes and skin stripped by time. Perhaps it had been buried deep, exposed by inches over millennia as the rivers carved their slow way down. Its features so large, those of us who farmed the plain, who cut the trees, who built huts on the banks, we, so much smaller, did not know it for a face. Not even when we scaled down the cliffs to swim in the pools at its base. When our enemies came, armored and hungry, drove us into the river, used their spears to puncture us like fish, our bodies broken on brow, cheekbones, chin, the water that cascaded down its eyes and lips flowed red. Our bodies bobbed in the pools beneath its gaze, a glare that, come nightfall, glowed red. Soon our eyes blazed too. Without breath or heartbeat, we rose and ascended, rent our enemies with rotted hands, and sent them over the falls to feed our new awakened savior.
Ugh. Yay!
Third one, even shorter. The sacrifices. The resin encased our heads after the steel bars bound us temple to temple. Every twitch wrenched our neighbors' necks. Ankle deep in concrete, we became a ring of pillars, living dolmens. We couldn't see the worshippers who shuddered between us, but their shriveled souls brushed our skin like dried leaves, like moth wings.
Bleh.
Yeah. I was just like, it's such a soft ending image, but it's also awful, you know. It's really
Thank
lovely.
you.
Awful, lovely, wonderful, disgusting. Ew.
So, final poem for this, at the back of the book. This won one of the Rising Awards for speculative poetry back in the Stone Age. It's called The Strip Search.
Oh yes.
The gate said, abandon all hope. Well, I thought I tossed all my hope away, but when I stepped through the gate, it still pinged. One of the guards slithered out of its seat, snarling as it drew forth a wand. Come here, it hissed. It seems you're still holding out hope. Its crusted hide was a Venus landscape up close. It brushed that cold black wand all over my skin, put it in places I don't want to talk about. Snaggle fangs huffed in my face. Sir, step over here, please. Then the strip search began. My flesh rolled up and tossed aside for mushy sifting, bones x-rayed, stacked in narrow rows, marrow sucked out, tested, spit back in. They made me open mind, heart, soul, shook them out like sacks of flour, panned the contents for every nugget of twinkling hope, glistening courage, applying lethal aerosol to any motion that could be ascribed to love or will or malingering dreams, sparing only a few squirming morsels for later snacking. Once they were done, they made me pick up my own pieces. I did the best I could without a mirror. Then my guard kicked me out with a literal kick, sent me rolling down the path to my final destination. I'll be honest with you, it's no picnic here, but my friends, I still have hope. I do. I'm not going to tell you where I hid it.
I think the demons are going to find it someday, Mike.
Never know.
You never know. Just
Of
keep
course,
it
you know, if you're there forever, yeah, odds are probably against you.
maybe by that time you'll have corrupted the underworld, like you'll have sent out your little tendrils, slimy tendrils of hope into the hells, corrupting it forever, and they can't dig it out at that point.
I don't
This
know.
sounds like you're suggesting a sequel, Claire.
Oh yeah, you know, double dog dare you. Well, Greg, what say you we roll for Mike Allen's Gothic novel prompt? Not that he needs any more help.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, so the 6-sided roll is, let's see, 2 and 3. No, we've had 3 and 2, but I don't think we've had 2
We haven't
and
had
3.
2 and 3. So 2 over is the sword, 3 down is the treasure box.
Okay, and the D20 is 15, which we did have, so I'll roll that again. 2. I don't think we had that one.
Okay. 2. Let's see what you got, Mike. In a thunderstorm, the girl is escaping the house, but the house longs.
Sounds like the novel I'm revising.
Well, then just, you know,
Cool.
use it as fuel. Keep it going, keep it going. No need for distractions just now. Wonderful. Greg, will you please have the honor of introducing Kanisha to us?
Absolutely. Kanisha Williams is an author, screenwriter, speaker, and founder, editor-in-chief of Black Girl Magic Lit Mag, a speculative fiction literary magazine. She has been a panelist and speaker at StokerCon, the Horror Writers of America convention, Boscone, the longest-running science fiction and fantasy convention in New England, ECBACC, the East Coast Black Age of Comics convention, and BSAM, the Black Speculative Arts Movement convention. As an essayist, she has written for Time Magazine's millennial imprint, Motto, Fireside Fiction, and I Am Black Sci-Fi, among other publications. Kanisha is also a screenwriter who is in pre-production on a horror web series and a short horror film. Kanisha, hi.
Let me unmute. Hi. Hi, everybody. I am going to do something I had put away, and I was like, let's bring this back out. So it's a short story. It's called Good Luck Charm, and it is a little sexy, horror-y, funny one today. All right. Charlize Bird Parker jumped out of her limo and looked around the street, hoping to run into one of her fans. Like usual, no one screamed her name or ran up to her for an autograph. Her shoulders slumped in defeat, and she trudged on to Santana's Curiosities and Sextrosities. She'd hoped that making an appearance at the store would set the gossip sites ablaze, but it seemed the paparazzi were nowhere to be found, even though she'd had her intern call them up to alert them to her incoming presence. Maybe it was true, and her star truly was waning. She just couldn't understand how she'd at one time been so hot they had called her the next best thing to Britney Spears and Beyonce. Luckily, she'd had no major breakdowns, but she'd also never had a song chart higher than number 15 on the charts, not even streaming. It seemed as if everyone had forgotten her now, with younger and more nubile pop stars who had already amassed a following in the millions on social media, with channels that racked up hundreds of millions of views, bringing in even more fame and money. Bird had never gotten used to using social media for fame. She was as old school as her moniker. Her mother had named her after the jazz musician Charlie Parker. It's not that she wanted to be spectacularly famous, but she did want to be rich. And it seemed like those two things went hand in hand. Oh, sure, she loved music and was a bit of a purist, but she wasn't an idiot. She'd gotten a taste of the good life and didn't want to go back to playing hole-in-the-wall clubs for a bunch of wasted patrons who didn't appreciate her talent. Her intern Delilah had come up with this stunt of visiting the shop and getting it papped. The press had loved it when current pop princess Harmony Falls had visited the shop. The headlines called her quirky and cute, with the voice of an angel. The aptly named Songbird headlines touted. Harmony her ass, Bird thought. She knew that they auto-tuned the shit out of Harmony's voice on every single track she'd ever put out because she'd had the unfortunate opportunity of hearing her live when their label had put them together for a duet. Bird's voice was strong and pure, and Harmony's was shit. Shit that they shined up with all the computer wizardry they could muster. Their duet was the only song she had that charted in the top 10. Unfortunately, the song was on Harmony's album and not hers, and only resulted in catapulting the fraud even higher into fame. Oh, fucking well, she was here. She might as well go into the shop and see what curiosities they had. When she opened the door, she could see the dust motes in the light that streamed in from outside. The store was dark and dreary, and Charlize wondered if that was done on purpose for the atmosphere or if they just needed to install more lamps. A young woman sat on a stool behind a counter that held glass bongs shaped like dongs. Cute. She had more holes in her face than Charlize could count. A gauge in her ear was about the size of a quarter, and she had a barbell in her nose that probably made blowing it a chore. May I help you? I'm just looking around. Anything in particular? What did that singer Harmony that came in last month buy? Charlize asked. Oh, you're one of those, the woman said as she crossed her arms across her chest. Look, this isn't a museum, it's a store, and we don't want looky-loos around here. Charlize laughed. The saleswoman didn't look like the type to say looky-loos. I'm buying, she said, and flashed her black Amex at the woman as proof. With the cashier satisfied that Bird was indeed a paying customer, her attitude eased up a bit, and Bird also put her guard down. She took off the conspicuous shade she'd been wearing and actually smiled. It was the same smile that graced her latest CD cover. Not like people buy CDs anymore. In fact, she just read that this year albums outsold CDs, but that was all the hipsters who rediscovered vinyl. Her label told her that she hadn't sold enough for them to press records, and that maybe if she got her streams up, they'd think about it. Horseshit. Her label was about 3 seconds away from letting her out of her contract. She could feel it. She needed something, anything to bring her out of her slump. And Delilah thought she'd found just the thing. Her assistant was a persistent, loyal, and smart as hell. She'd been scouring the internet and found a tidbit about Harmony visiting the shop and attributing something she'd purchased here to her recent string of hits. She said she'd found her good luck charm at Santana's Curiosities and Sextrosities. What the hell was a sextrosity, she thought, then looked over to her right where an elephant-sized rubber phallus sat. If anything was a sextrosity, that thing was. She didn't want to ask the saleswoman outright what Harmony's charm was. She was sure that she got enough loons in here as it was, so she tried to play it cool by browsing all the aisles. She didn't understand the store's shelving system. There were bundles of sage next to fuzzy handcuffs and tarot cards next to performance-enhancing pills. There was no rhyme or reason to how it was all organized, and she'd never find the charm this way. The saleswoman had leisurely followed her at a respectable pace, not minding that she was being obvious. Bird turned on her heel to face the woman, who was about 3 feet away from where she stood. What's your name again? Never gave it to you the first time, but it's Santana. Oh, so you're the owner. Your family must have been big fans. Of what? She asked deadpan. Bird shook her head. Maybe she wasn't big on music. Nothing, she struggled with the words, wanting to not sound like a weirdo. Are you looking for something specific? She said as if she already knew, but just wanted Bird to say the words. Now that you ask, she started and paused thoughtfully as if the idea just came to her. I'm looking for a good luck charm. So you heard about Harmony's purchase. We're colleagues. I'm a singer too. An actual singer with some goddamn talent, she wanted to add, but didn't. Oh, she said and walked closer. But she didn't know what to make of Santana's O and decided to keep on talking. Yes, just need a little something for the next time I'm in the recording booth. Of course, no problem. You have to give me a 50% cut of all your royalties for the rest of your life. and then your soul when you die. Bird coughed and then choked on that same cough. Excuse me? It's the same deal I gave Harmony. Take it or leave it. Bird took it. The good charm looked ordinary, just a simple silver oblong pendant with no design or inscription, like an empty cartouche. Santana didn't give any warnings about the charm, and after Bird signed her name to the contract, surprisingly not in blood, she was on her way. The next morning, Bird didn't feel any luckier until her phone buzzed with a Google alert for her name. The Paps had been there last night, and there was a super flattering shot of her leaving the shop. Score! And then she read the headline. Pop star Charlize Bird Parker found dead outside a sex shop. She looked around her room and everything seemed the same, but she felt different. She guessed this is what death felt like. The bright side is she knew that her last album was definitely going to go platinum. The unbright side was she was going to have to hand over her soul, and soon.
Everybody's clapping. We can't hear because we're all on silent, but I know I can hear. I can hear it in my soul. Oh, that's super fun. Sextrocities. Well, I hope she gets it when she's dead. I hope she gets all the good stuff.
Exactly.
Okay. Kanisha, is that found anywhere, or are you sitting on it?
I'm sitting on it right now. I've been trying my hand at more like horror comedies because I love watching horror comedies. So I wanted something like in that vein. So that's what I've been working on.
It's so wonderful. Like kind of gathering up enough for like a collection sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. Oh my gosh. Well, let us know when that happens, and then we'll do a whole other reading with you just reading horror comedies all night. Thank you so much. We're going to give you a gothic novel prompt, which you can turn into a horror comedy short story prompt if you like.
All right. I love it.
Okay. Greg.
Good to go?
Yes.
All right. So this is, let's see, 6 and 2, which
Mirror,
I don't think we've
1,
had.
2. Oh, no, it's the cottage.
6 and 2, and the 20-sided is 4, but I think we did have that.
Why aren't we getting like the teens and the 20s? Let's get Kanisha a good one. Yeah.
2? Did we have 2?
Yes, we did. My gallon had 2.
20.
Oh, yes. The girl was recently restless, and she will become peculiarly gifted. An ancient tree curses fate in the garden.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. Something weird's gonna happen in that. I don't know. I don't know what, but it'll be great. So let me just record that really fast I have so many windows open. It's like I have a fever. Okay. And it's like taking forever to load. The girl was long ago contrary. Lisa, there's Kanisha. Okay. Here's that. 20 was easy to remember. Greg, can you tell me the numbers of the first one again? 6 and 2, right?
It was 6 and 2, yep.
All right. I'm sorry, everyone. Maybe I'll have somebody else do all of this next time, and I'll just introduce people. But I get to introduce the next person, I believe, who is, if I'm doing this correctly, Juliet Wade. I'm just going to scroll and find. There she is. Oh, she's got such a cool author photo with like dragonflies on this badass pirate coat. Juliet, hello.
Hello.
Juliet is a novelist who never outgrew the habit of asking why about everything. This path led her to study foreign languages and to complete degrees in both anthropology and linguistics. Powerful stuff. Combining these with a fascination for world building and psychology, she creates multifaceted science fiction that holds a mirror to our own society. She is the author of The Broken Trust books, Mazes of Power, Transgressions of Power, and Inheritors of Power, as well as short fiction found in magazines such as Analog, Clark's World, and Fantasy and Science Fiction. She lives in the she doesn't live in the San Francisco Bay Area. Sorry, I was going off your website, man.
I know. I am redoing my website like as we speak.
She lives in Oz with the rest of those Aussies. She lives somewhere in Australia with her Aussie husband and her 2 sons who support and inspire her.
That's right.
read for us, Juliet?
Well, so I was looking around and trying to decide what I should read, and the most Halloween-y thing is a story that came out in Clark's World in 2014 called Steta mono de wa nai, or Not Easily Thrown Away. So I'm going to read you the beginning of that. Cram school psycho was just a bully's insult until I started hearing the voices. One of them sounds like a whistle, and the other like a rusty trumpet. And when I sit at my desk at midnight, slowly hitting my head against my school books, they discuss my future. She'll probably pass the exams on her own. No, she won't. She might. She studies hard, but she doesn't sleep enough. Look how she's fallen apart since her father's work reassignment. Her grandmother isn't taking good care of her. She needs someone to take care of her. No, she doesn't. She'd lose her spirit. She would not. I'd scream at them to shut up, but I wouldn't want to wake Oba-chan. Instead, when the pressure in my head wants to break me and I hear the metallic ticking and the rustling get closer, I slip my feet into my Zori sandals on the back step and hop out into the narrow space behind our apartment. Beyond the wall with its leafless ivy, the late train rushes by with a shudder and a shriek, and I can scream as loud as I like and nobody will hear. I won't pass the exams. I have to pass the exams. She's mine, says Rusty Trumpet, and Whistle argues, no, she's mine. Sometimes I just want to leave the world. Oba-chan made me name tags so I could sew them into my high school uniform. Kitano Naoko. I didn't want to throw away the extras, so I stitched them into my Gothic girl cosplay. One in the spiderweb stockings, another in the white crinoline, another for the black mini dress with the lace-up bodice. Small links back to the ordinary me. My costume's still missing something. In the bathroom of Harajuku Station, I stand at the mirror beside a college girl in platform shoes. Her hair is dyed cherry red and she paints her lips into a big pink kiss. I can't afford platform shoes, and if I dyed my hair, they wouldn't let me back in school. I draw black tears down my cheeks and walk out into the icy January rain. I'm the only one standing on the bridge. My other world is empty, no crowd of cosplayers to talk to, no music to lose myself in. Even Cherry Girl crosses and heads down Takeshita Street, probably to meet friends. I shiver under my tiny plastic umbrella, pacing back and forth through the puddles. I'd forgotten it's Adults' Day, the celebration for 20-year-olds. I can't avoid seeing the shining stars of the holiday. Young women walk choko-choko and fancy geta onto the gravel path toward Meiji Shrine. 20-year-old perfection cocooned in layers of bright kimono and white fur shoulder wraps. They glimmer against the dark gray street and the green trees. Admiring family members hover around them, carrying umbrellas to protect them from the rain. They can scarcely walk in those heavy kimono. They're not shivering, though. They've made it through. They'll walk beneath the torii gate into the shrine, make their offerings, and be blessed. Everything falls toward them. Young men, good fortune, even gravity. They're so bright I can hardly bear to look, and light years away. I don't know why I came out here. I walk fast back to the station, change clothes in the bathroom, wipe my face clean for appearances. At a vending machine, I buy a can of hot milk tea to warm my hands and get back on the train. At least I chased away the voices for a little while. But when the train pulls into my station, the pressure comes back 10 times worse. I have to be careful now because of Oba-chan. My bag has to be zipped, not the least shred of crinoline showing. The better way would be not to bring it around the front at all. I walk down the station steps, duck around the raised guardrail and across the tracks, then sidestep between the ivied wall and the back of our apartment building. An ice-cold drip from the eaves strikes me right at the crest of my head. The voices are back. She's mine. No, she's mine. Naoko-san, hey! My fingers clench. As I sidestep past our neighbor's back porch, the metallic ticking starts. There's the rustling too, frantic this time. It sounds so real, too real. Maybe there's a cat fight, but feral cats don't whistle my name. I peek past the piece of wall that divides their porch from ours. Things are fighting outside our back step. A skeleton and a bat? No, skeletons don't have lights. Crack. The whistle rises in pitch like a scream, and the bat thing falls down with the skeleton thing standing over it. I jump in and kick the skeleton thing. It breaks apart, all its pieces scattering across the ground with a sound like a bike crash. A metal bar, the brake of a train, a bike pedal, a chain, a couple of disconnected gears. When I look for the bat thing, all I see is Obachan's old paper umbrella from her tour of the Nakasendo Highway years ago, and a cracked teapot with a broken lid. Yada, I'm fighting garbage? That's it, I've really lost it. I drop my bag, squat down, and hide my face in my hands. We're not garbage, says the whistling voice beside my feet. I might be dusty, but I haven't been thrown away. I still matter. I look down. The Sumie painting on the side of the old teapot isn't plum blossoms anymore. It's a face, and the crack looks like a sly grin. I mutter aloud, I need to see a psychiatrist for sure. No, whistles the voice slyly through the crack. Everything will be all right so long as you pass your college entrance exams. All done.
Thank you, Juliet. It was very bizarre and colorful, but it kind of gave me the kind of, I'd want to see it like a cartoon, but with the over the garden wall vibes, or maybe anime. It had the kind of, it's like cute but creepy.
Yeah, it goes to much creepier places, but I was like, it's Halloween, so I have to do the part where the skeleton and the bat get mentioned.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I have put links to Juliet's sci-fi trilogy in the chat for you because they're quite splendid. Carlos, will you please introduce our camera?
Well, wait, prompt, right?
Nope. Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm so sorry.
Trying to cheat Juliet out of a prompt.
I know. Not that Juliet needs one. She's super busy, but I'm going to give you one anyway. Everybody gets
It's okay.
one.
I'll take one.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm like closing and opening things and finding links, and I'm just going to go back.
Same. Okay.
It's my fault. I just make things complicated. Okay. All right.
Okay.
What do we got?
So the two six-sided dice are, oh man, I was starting to go cross-eyed. 4, no, we had 4 and 6. Let's try that again. 2 and 4. I don't think we had that yet.
No, it's beautiful. Kathleen, will you tell me what kind of flower that is? It's the one beneath the chest. It's like white, 5 petals. I don't know if it's a special flower.
Having a look. Sort of plausibly deniable rose of some wild rose of some description.
Excellent.
I have to keep it broad enough to interpret appropriately to the story.
Exactly. I like that it might be a completely new rose that we've never heard of before, or a different flower entirely. And from
I think it's got thorns.
Yes, definitely has those. Those are definitely thorns and serrated edges. 2 and 4. Yeah, Greg, and then my blog closed, but thank goodness it saved some, so that's nice. So 2 and 4, and then what is the 20-sided roll?
20-sided I have is a 5.
If we had 5, no, we have not.
I don't think we have.
Juliet, the house is beloved of death, and the housekeeper is lark-hearted, and the girl is star-tongued. That was 5, right, Greg?
That was 5.
Holy crap. All right. Well, you've got that. I've written it down. I'm recording it and your picture. Everybody's going to get these at the end of the night. You'll have a copy of your own. You don't have to remember everything we've said. And then we are on Cam, and Carlos is going to introduce Cam. Thank you so much.
My pleasure entirely. So Rob Cameron, or Cameron Robertson, or Robert Cam Ronson, writes under the name Rob Cameron, is a teacher, linguist, and lead organizer for the Brooklyn Speculative Fiction Writers. Just one of the outstanding groups here in New York. Poetry, stories, and essays have appeared in Starline, the magazine of fantasy and science fiction, Foreign Policy magazine, Tor.com, Clockwork Phoenix 5, and Apex magazine. Daydreamer, his debut middle grade novel that I got to blurb, haha, came out from Random House in August, and his novelette Ice Like Honey comes out from Lightspeed magazine this year. Daydreamer is his debut middle grade novel. And also he's a producer of Kaleidocast. I don't think that was mentioned above. So
former. I gave that up. That plus 2 kids.
Oh, okay. All right, take it, Cam.
It became too much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm going to read 2 things. They're pretty short. The first one is they're both animal related. They're all about animals. The first one came out in poetry. I forget where it was published, honestly, but like 3 years ago. And it's called Starline, published in Starline. And it's called The Crow's Church because crows are always Halloweeny. This is a true story. It is a perfect circle. It is a cave. Old, sanctified, and human. This is a place crows come to pray, and they clot the walls blood black. At its center is a stone that's heavy and polished by a river, some 500 miles away, much shorter if you fly. A great amber feather is trapped beneath it, taken from an owl. The owl that gave up this feather is their enemy, is their hunter, is dead, vanquished most likely. They are not quiet, they are crows. And I do not speak crow, but imagine it is a story they tell often. First one, then another, and another, an avalanche of tellings, each one a pebble dropped into a well of deep time until the memory rises, overflows, is a deluge. The crows tell this story often, call it up like the tide, a ritual as necessary as blood, the story of how the hunter was hunted, a perfect circle. And that's the end of that poem. Okay, thank you. And
Is Starline still extant? Like, could I find a link to that or not really?
I mean, I got a paper version. I don't know if they do online.
It's a print zine.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. I
So-
just wanted to guide people to it, but I can't. So bye.
Well, you can definitely find Daydreamer. That's definitely there. Everywhere you can find good books. And the next thing I'm going to read is from an anthology that just came out October 4th called The Bestiary of Blood by Jamal Hodge. And he's a friend of mine, really good author. So there's poetry in there that we did together. And then there is this poem about a hyena. Every story in there is a fucked up fairy tale. When they gave me an option, hyena had not been taken, and I was kind of shocked because it would be like every other animal was taken. So obviously I took the hyena. And so this story is The Hyena and the Rhino. You are a rhino, and you are monstrously strong. Why, the other day, standing tall in the shade of an acacia tree, you retold the story of how you killed Lion. I speared him and I tossed his body high. Then I crushed him beneath these very feet, you roar. Your herd has listened to this story many times, but they dare not remind you that this happened years ago and that you are old. You are still massive, violent, and extremely dangerous. Much more recently than the lion, you killed a young bull for some imagined slight. We are hyena, and we see many true things even in the dark. So we know that it's our scent, not lions, that makes you squeal and whine in your dreams. Fear wakes you as my family harries a plump calf in your herd. Blurry and enraged, you maul my mate to a limp mess. Now he's crippled and I must eat him and break in a new male. I am vexed. But I also saw you nearly trample your own calves in your blind rage, and my mouth waters. Invisible in the long grass of night, I whisper to one of your sons, you should let us have this one. He is sick and weak. You shoulder him aside before he dares to answer, barely missing him with your great horn. You shall take nothing. It was I who killed Lion. You bellow beneath a sickled moon. I wait to see if there is more, but the herd is quiet. We shall see, I say. Then I fade away, and my family follows. The next day, you lead the herd away from this place. It had been an oasis until we came upon you. The herd follows, though your eyesight is terrible. That is a rhino's lot. But worse than your vision is your memory. It is soft and porous. Your sweat stinks of confusion and sickness. Your family says nothing. Too afraid of you and too afraid to close their eyes. We follow, staying close enough for you to hear our songs and our laughter late into the night. Soon you are lost. It must seem as though the sun spirals across the sky like a lazy fly, no longer settling in the same place twice. Its rays rake across your rough skin-like claws, and we are envious. The cows have no more milk, and the weakest calf thins and dies. We eat it, though it is not filling. The red-billed oxpecker on your shoulder takes pity on you and flies ahead to investigate. It returns in haste and leads you towards a large pond. You give no thanks, of course. You would have found this place on your own. You are the one who killed Lion, after all. Squinting, you wonder why you are the only animals here. No zebra or elephant cousins. The pond is large and blue, with more than enough fresh water for everyone. Drink, you command. Bathe. Wade. The herd is apprehensive, yet fear your rages more than they fear the water. We keep our distance. We remember the truth of this place. Teeth leap from the shallows, snatching a cow by the throat, dragging it out to deeper water. The middle of the pond comes alive with rolling, snarling crocodiles as they devour screaming meat. It is over quickly. The water stills. The blue at the center of the pond is marred with a spreading, bruised black stain. Farther back on the shore, I call out to the bull that just lost its mate. You should give us the old one. It's not too late. Again, before he can speak, you answer, I am the one that killed Lion. I will lead us away from this place. Only I can keep them safe. You shall take nothing. As you shepherd them away, I narrow my eyes. We shall see. You cross unnaturally straight, hardened tar rivers that sting the bottoms of your hooves. You've strayed dangerously close to the cities of man, termite mounds that burn from the inside, smothering the stars with cold light, bittering the air, and wrapping around the old forests like thorny briars. The water that trickles from holes in the ground are poisoned. You drink it anyway and collapse to the ground, delirious and awash in sweat. The exhausted herd lies next to you. Memories fall off the bone until only fear is left. Your meaty body shakes with fever. Men rush past in their shells of metal that growl and spit acidic fumes. The sounds enter your dreams like witches gnawing in the marrow of your reason. In your dreams, we have you surrounded. You charge and smash and bludgeon and impale us until you wake howling, wet with blood. Gore squelches under your feet, entrails swing from the end of your horn. But it's not ours. Your sons, daughters, and grandchildren are dead, trampled, crushed, stabbed. A rhino's sight is terrible, I say. They could not see what was right in front of them. The shock of what you've done buckles their knees. You don't get back up. I approach you finally. You should have let us take you. Kill me, quickly, you say. Please, as I did Lion. My family follows me out of the dark and crowd around you. They are laughing, but I am not. I look to my new mate, whom I do not like, and then slowly, I look to you. Yeah, we'll see. The end.
Poor hyena. She needs a third mate. That's my opinion. She needs Rhino to kill the second mate if she just needs a better male, or she needs to break in the second one a little bit
Yeah, she
better.
eats him too, and then goes for her third trial.
Yeah, that's that's the sequel, right? I killed Rhino, and that's like part 2, the rhinoing.
Is it polycule or is it buffet? You just
It's definitely not a la carte. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, I love her. I love her voice so much. Thank you, Cam. Cam, we're gonna give you a prompt. I know you're busy, like all of us, with everything, but if you ever want to write a Gothic novel fairy tale, you can. You're gonna have Kathleen Jennings stuff. All right. We're gonna roll.
All right. So we have a 5 and a 1.
5 is the dice, and 1 is the cat. Ha ha! That's
right.
funny. I like that. We haven't had the cat yet. 5 and a 1. Just gonna write that down.
5 and a 1. We got a 15, which doesn't work, but 14 does, I believe.
14, and that is when she flees the house, she will wear the mark of the house. The girl, unlike the house, is hound swift. Oh, yeah.
They're paralleling the stories a little.
Yeah.
She is hyena swift. And the house is the rhino house, and hyena girl.
This is all scripted, all right? The whole thing is rigged. No.
Not so. Rigmarole. Excellent. Oh, hooray. Our last reader of the night is the gorgeous, beautiful, and deeply creepy, because I have read her work, Dr. Lisa Hannett. And Greg, will you do the honor of introducing this shining being of a woman?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Lisa L. Hannett is an award-winning author of over 80 weird and whimsical short stories, 5 collections, and a mosaic novel. She's an associate professor of creative writing at Flinders University in Adelaide, where she writes and obsesses about Vikings, dreams about fantasy food, and dresses up in costumes. Check out her latest, Fortunate Isles, nominated in the Best Collection category for the World Fantasy Award this year, and available in a beautiful hardcover edition, as well as Viking Women, Life and Lore, available in bookshops everywhere in Australia, but only in ebook internationally, because everywhere outside of Australia sucks. No, I just added that myself. Please, after you.
Thank you. And yes, the hardcover. Oh, look at the shining. Oh my goodness. The object.
It's awesome.
So I'm going to read 3 scenes from one story that was originally published at The Dark. So if you're keen to have the full story, you can look it up, but it's also reprinted in my collection. And this story is called Another Mouth. Mora has no beef or blood pudding to offer when the young strangers come knocking. No mackerel, no lamprey, no lamb. They won't take stale bread or fish heads or chard, but sometimes they'll take dairy. Before daybreak, she drained old Bess's udders, half filling a small tin pail. At dusk, she placed saucers of milk on the stoop, laced with arsenic and lye, but poor Nally had quickly lapped it all up, poor little kitten, too hungry to know he was eating death. Tomorrow, she calls now, while Knuckles rap-tap outside in the dark. Her husband sits at table, not quite drooling, a glisten pooled on his lip. Eyes on the door, Mora edges closer to him. She reaches down absent-mindedly, smooths his thinning hair with her palm, scrubs his slack mouth with her sleeve. She whips a bib from her apron pocket, fastens it around Michael's neck. There was a time he'd have whacked the scrap of cloth from her hands, with Beryl looking on and Snotty Nose laughing. There was a time he'd have belted her right then and there for picking and poking and fussing, for treating him like a child. Michael was well salted, well roughed by the sea, his temper sharp as his pride. When they were alone, he was often gentle, kissing Mora's bruises, pulling out when she said so, drinking whiskey watered with ice. But in sight of his crew, the foster boy mostly, he was, first and foremost, a captain. Not so long ago, he'd have cuffed his own spitty beard, thank you, Mora. He'd have worn the brine like a medal.
Soot clouds from the fireplace as young strangers top the roof, plugging the chimney with cold feet and asses. Others run round the house, hammering clapboards with twiggy fingers, kicking the foundations, rattling shutters. Tomorrow, Mora shouts, hoping they'll hear, hoping they'll listen. She has nothing but words to appease them. We've none to spare tonight, not a lick, but the lad'll haul in a big catch come morning. Liar, knock the young strangers with cartilage and bone. Liar, rages the wind off the ocean, hissing with Beryl's voice. Their luck had been fine before the boy came. Sure, their rent was in arrears, and sure the fishing was dire. Most nights Michael sailed out at moondark, most dawns he sailed in with nets empty. At sea his harpoon was ever primed, the blade and hook sharp, the rope strong. They hadn't seen a decent-sized whale in months. Defiant, Michael scoured the beaches for shellfish. Pants rolled to the knees, he'd hunted the shallows, poking with a long, cruel stick into holes in the sand. But when the tides went out, the shores were often bare. No cockles, no mussels, no clams. Twice a week, Mora went and cooked other folks' meals, stirring up feasts from their plenty. She'd sip the sauces she made, taste the stews for seasoning, dip into the vats of butter she'd churned. The barons generously complimented her skills. Where'd you get this lass? They boom at their hosts. Only 17, so many years of good cooking ahead of her. And they'd hire her for an evening, for a week, for a pittance. Stomach rumbling, Mora left their lavish dining rooms and pocketed leftover strips of bacon, balls of suet, roasted potatoes, shortcakes. Satchel heavy with pilferings, she'd leave their warm houses with a few extra pennies, but scarcely a crumb for herself. On the way home, she'd buy a fistful of corned beef, some salted pork, or a couple of hocks. The meat went into the soup pot with onions and cabbage. The rest went outside for the strangers. Keep things as they are, she'd whisper, lining windowsills and doorstep with offerings. We'll make do, we'll be fine, if it's just us two, together, alone. Maybe the bacon had gone off that long ago night. Maybe the cakes were rancid. Maybe the young ones were sick of potatoes. The next morning, the leavings were all gone, and so, it seemed, was her luck. Nowadays, Mora feeds her husband the way he did Beryl before the boy learned to bite. Spoonful after spoonful, shoveling it in, scraping off the excess. Humming a little tune to keep him calm. Prattling between ditties, saying nothing much. How's that, love? Is that good? You're hungry today, aren't you? With each gulp, she wishes he'd bark at her, say she scalded the roof of his mouth. She wishes he'd call her a ninny, wishes he'd laugh. Think you can manage this? She presses the spoon into Michael's limp hand, knowing how angry he'll be to find his calluses all softening, the leather-hard palm turning to silk. Bending his fingers around the handle, she guides his arm through the motions, dip, lift, slurp, dip, lift, slurp, until he follows through on his own. Good work, love, she says, hearing a scratch of claws at the door. Keep going. Michael smacks and slobbers while Mora gets up to let in the cat. Good work, she repeats, watching him as she unbolts the lock. Then she turns and swings the door wide. Cooing, here, puss puss, she looks outside. To her left and right, yellow lines fall through the shutters and glow in thin rows across trampled grass. A long rectangle stretches from Mora's feet, outlining her silhouette in gold on the path. Vision strained in the darkness, she spots lanterns dotting the valley, lamps bobbing on masts in the harbor, the moon flickering through scudding clouds. Hungry, my lad? She says, stepping aside. Come on in then, in you get. Fresh air blows into the cottage, crisp with seaweed and salt, cool with spray. It cuts through the room's fug, clearing Mora's head. She shivers and gasps and remembers Poor, poor Nellie. White crested waves crash on the coast as the young stranger creeps up the stairs. With Arctic tread, it slips into the house, shoeless and solemn and pale. Its trousers rolled above the ankle, sleeves above the wrists. Scalloped buttons carved of shell run the length of its arms, grazing Mora's belly as it slinks past. She shudders at the creature's touch, light though it is, somehow more feather than flesh. Before pulling up a chair at the table, the white glances at Mora, nods an almost imperceptible tilt of its chin. Yes, she reads in that gesture. I am hungry. And I'll leave it there.
Did Carlos call it right? And does Michael get eaten?
Yeah, that was the question in the conversation. I feel like somebody.
We all want to know in the chat, Lisa. Don't worry, I linked to it in the Dark magazine and to your book. They should buy it. I understand, but we all want to know.
No, he doesn't get eaten. It gets even creepier and weirder than that. I will give you that.
All right. The chat's first thought is like first draft stuff for Lisa L. Hannett. It gets weirder and creepier than getting eaten, everyone.
So who gets eaten?
Yeah. If it's weirder, then it's me. Yeah.
Oh, it's very pleasurable. Thank you so much. Oh, lovely. We're gonna get your prompt, and I have to say I counted wrong. Classic Horror called me out. I counted 5 across, 1 down, but 1 should actually stay on the line
on the row. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's the dice. So that Cam, sorry, you don't get the cat, but maybe Lisa gets the cat. I don't know. I kind of hope she'll get something we haven't come across yet. So roll really well for her, Greg.
I will try. This is 3 and 6.
Have we had that yet?
I don't think so.
Where 3 is the boot and 6 is the book. Hey, we have had that. That's Jessica's.
Have we?
Oh no, that was Krista's. That was the first one, right?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. All right. Well, let's
roll
see.
better.
Whoops. No. Never mind that one.
I want Lisa to have the weird doll scarecrow.
That's 4 and 2, but I don't.
Oh yeah, that's like a pomegranate apple, sort of highly interpretable fruit by Kathleen Jennings. She's laughing at me.
Interpretable fruit.
Here,
but I don't think we had that. I don't think we had 4 and 2.
Oh no, we didn't have the highly interpretable fruit, but now Lisa does. So it's 4 and 2.
Okay. Yep.
All right. It's funny how close all of these are, and there's like a whole bunch that have not even gotten close yet. 4 and 2. All right, and the critical roll
is 16.
If we had 16. Oh, you got a really long one, Lisa, but I think it's appropriate. The house labors to discover whether the girl is amenable. The girl was recently morbid, yet she will become stubborn. The feared translucent lady who leaves ice on the counterpane turns out to be the groundskeeper. So there. That was 16. Excellent. All right, now we get to roll for the chat, and then we'll all be done except for thanking you, chat, and thanking our readers for this amazing night. This was just really fun for me. Thank you so much.
It was a good time. All right, chat, you ready? So this is going to be your prompt. So let's see. This is, let's see. That is a 5 and a 4, which I think we've had. So
5, no, 5 and a 4 is the cute little mouse.
Oh, okay.
Or possibly some other murine creature. We don't know. Could be a rat. Could be a strange thing from down under.
Okay, first
so
one was
that's 5 and 4, right?
5 and 4, and then we had a 14, but we can't do that because we already had that. So then we went to 18, which we have not had.
Oh, excellent. 18, chat your prompt, which I will put into the chat.
And I will do that in Quinnish in just a minute about the board, but I'll show you the handout first.
Yeah, and I've posted the board and all the prompts and all of the chat. That don't worry, I'm gonna as soon as I'm done with posting this in the chat, I'm gonna give you the post that has all of the pictures and all of the everybody's everything, including your chat prompt if you want. There will be a link. It'll be easy. But let me read this to you, chat. In the sick room, the girl sings to herself. Even so, a beetle undulates in flashes of lightning. When the girl arrives, the house is beset by spider webs. Just before she leaves, it will be afflicted with mirrors. The chat got a nice long one.
Yeah,
That's
wow.
the
There
best
we
one.
go.
Seriously.
I mean, anybody, you're all in the chat. All of you who are the readers are also the chat, so you could just swipe. Okay, 5 across, 4 down, and then let me remember that was number 18. I'll write that down.
That was
And then in
18.
just a second, I will post this link, and then I will post it to all of you. So I'm going to do that. But Greg, Carlos, readers, before I concentrate on all the posting, I just want to say thank you again so much. And if you have anything to announce, readers, if you want more links up in the chat, now's the time to do it. Any projects, any see you at a con, anything like that. Just it's your time to shine.
Yeah, please buy my book, Daydreamer.
Yes. Definitely buy Daydreamer. And apologies for me being in the dark all this time. The gremlins got into my computer and just obliterated my camera feature. But I've been enjoying this from start to finish.
Oh, that reminds me, you should buy Zigzag Claiborne's Breath, Warmth, and Dream as well. I did put those in the...
Yes, also buy that book. Where's my copy?
I think my biggest present from today is meeting you all. So such a pleasure.
No, it's been so much fun, Julia.
Yeah, new connection.
Claire, thank you for putting this together. It's been such fun, and getting to see people play with those images and everything has been a delight. And I should say my short story collection came out this year, Kindling, and the various art that I do, including a print of the 6x6 square of images that Claire is doing, is using on Redbubble under Tan Odell as well.
Yeah, you can get a really big sticker of them and put it right in the center of your desk and play this game anytime you want, is all I'm saying. Some of us do that a lot. So yeah. Oh, I'm almost done posting. Yeah, keep talking. Come on, call it out. What do you got?
I want to say, second to what everybody's saying about thank you to Claire and Greg and Carlos for putting this on. And it was so nice to hear everybody read. And I think I mentioned, but the novel that I read from Beneath the Poet's House is coming out December 10th.
Very cool.
So I have a wild one to toss out that I've been doing kind of an informal book tour for my new collection, Slow Burn. And the final event so far in that tour is coming up November 16th and 17th in North Carolina near Charlotte. I have no idea if anybody watching this might live near there, but I am one of the guest authors of the official North Carolina Renaissance Festival, which is not something I ever saw coming. Nonetheless, it is happening. If there's anybody out there who is going to be there, come say hello to myself and Anita.
Super cool.
Fun.
If anybody finds themselves in Melbourne, definitely hit me up and say hi. There's great coffee here.
Brisbane ditto. Allegedly, we have a WorldCon bid in progress.
That's true.
I heard,
That's
yeah.
very exciting. I hope you win, and then I'll go to Australia. Finally, Carlos, you'll take me down under, won't you?
You bet, darling.
Oh, you have to come. You must. We have to just host a con here just to lure you guys down here.
I mean, I would come for an informal con of like you three, like just have it at a house, or like we'll get a big Airbnb somewhere. I'll come. I'll
That'd be
totally come.
awesome.
Sounds great.
I live in the Adelaide Hills, which is lovely wine and food region. It's very conducive to eating, drinking, being merry, and sharing stories. So come on.
Very fun. All right, I was trying to find that particular art chart on your Redbubble, Kathleen, but I'm just gonna link to your Redbubble as a whole so that I can get this out to everybody before everybody collapses of being tired, needs to go to their day.
In the meantime, Kanisha, Jessica, Cam, I think we're the last three that haven't said anything yet. Anything you wanna talk about?
Sure. Everybody who doesn't already follow me on Instagram should follow me on Instagram, because that is the place where I update stuff, and you can potentially buy a cool ghost zine that is very cute for me at some point in the future. My Instagram handle is foam liar, foam like the teeth of waves, and liar like the instrument, not untrustworthy individuals, of which I do not number myself.
I'm just gonna link that right there. That's Jess's Insta.
And yes, thank you, everybody. I enjoyed hearing all of my fellow readers read. You guys are really great. So
Oh, and also anybody who wants to connect, please find me on Facebook or Blue Sky. And I am literally ridiculously happy if you ever want to talk about grammar. And I know that's wild. Grammar, or foreign language, or conlanging, or linguistics, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just hit me up. I'm out here.
And I'll just say, actually, Jessica, I thought you said in your expression, I thought you said ghost disease. We can get a ghost disease from you.
You never know. I do hang around cemeteries kind of a lot.
Something's gonna catch you, one or the other. Yeah, thank you all for having me here. This is great. I see a lot of friends I've had here for years, maybe some new friends, friends with couches in Australia. Yeah, that'd be cool. And please come to New York City and hang out with us, because this is a good place to be. And I have I have a spare bed, spare basement. It's all full of books and stuff. So please do come and check us out. And thank you all. Thank Claire. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Gregory, for putting this together.
Claire and Carlos and Greg.
Absolutely. Just so awesome. Just so happy to see your faces and hear your beautiful words.
Just a word of warning, it's very dangerous to tell Australians you have a spare bed. They arrive.
Can't take it back. It's out there.
And Kanisha, anything from you?
Yeah, so I want to say thank you so much for inviting me, guys. I always love doing these with you. They're so much fun. I am a moderator of the Black Speculative Fiction Book Club on Facebook, as well as the State of Black Science Fiction on there. So you can find me posting and geeking out there. I'm trying to put more horror in there because sometimes it leans kind of sci-fi heavy. So you'll see me posting horror when I can also there.
I can put the second one. I'll put the post. What was the first one? I got the State of Black Science Fiction. What was the first group, Kanisha?
I was talking without unmuting. Oh, the Black Speculative.
Oh, did she actually press the X button? Uh-oh.
Oh no.
What happened?
I don't know. The suddenly gone.
Oh, well, I found the group, so I'm just gonna post that for everybody, and we'll just say goodbye to Kanisha in emails unless she pops back on.
And the first one was the Black Science Fiction Book Club.
Oh, did I do the wrong one? Black Science. Oh, yeah, I got so I've got both of those links up now in the Twitch chat. Thank you.
Yep. And I know everyone is watching now. Carlos is not Jessica Wick. All the pictures are a little bit fouled up, but you should know who everybody is by this point. But Carlos and Claire, you should talk about anything you want folks to know about you, which often gets forgotten since you're the one setting all this up. You do some kind of writing things, don't you? Don't you do some writing things that I've heard of?
I got a book coming out April 2022 called Saint Death's Herald. It's a sequel to Saint Death's Daughter. I turned in my copy edits for it today, so it is actually, in fact, really happening. So that's cool. Carlos?
2022?
Yeah, you said
2025. 2024.
I was like looking over 2021. I'm like, I don't want to relive 2021. I'd rather not. Thanks.
No, thank you.
We've already had 2024 as well.
The first one came out 2022, so next year's 2025. I don't know. It's like almost 11. Australians, it's your morning. What can I say? I'm not a night owl. Yeah, 2025, April 2025. Carlos.
But you're also going to be at CanCon, darling.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow morning for Canada. So, if anyone, are you in Canada? Anyone? No one's here from Canada. I won't see anybody, but maybe somebody in the
You'll
chat.
see me. I'll be up there.
Oh, that's right.
You'll
Greg's
see me.
gonna be there.
Yeah.
Yes, and Greg, you have like another book coming out too.
Well, I have a few things hit. My book Heretic just came out, finishing up the Grey Assassin trilogy 2 months ago. I'm going to be doing a Q&A about that with Ed Greenwood up in Canada. And actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it, but whatever, it's my channel, I can do it. I'm going to be part of a story bundle that's being arranged by Marie Bilodeau, curated by Marie Bilodeau, which is coming out starting tomorrow, which has Grey Shade, which is the first novel in that series. So if you are interested in Jason Bourne chained in 15th century Venice in the ways of sonic magic, you should pick these books up. That's what they are. But I am very grateful to everybody for doing this. It's a great honor to be able to do it. I'm trying to think of how many incredible authors I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by on these things over the years, and it's a great honor to do it. So, and also, as always, Chat, thank you for being awesome too.
Oh, Chat, you're awesome.
But make sure you buy all of these folks' books. It's great that everyone loves everyone, but it's even better when you show the love by buying their books and getting their stuff. So if you can do that, that would be great. But otherwise, I think I will bid all of the lovely folks in Zoom farewell. I will leave myself, but you can all talk to each other if you like. But thank you everybody for being a part of this. And Chat, can we get some love for the amazing participants of our Spooky Reading 2024?
Oh wait, but Carlos, can Carlos do some call out?
yeah.
Unless you already did. I'm sorry.
Did
And
Carlos
then we'll
already
say
do it?
goodbye. I don't think so.
I mean, I'm not like, I don't have a lot to announce right now. I had a Marvel Comic Con and stuff, but I don't know, maybe stuff in the future. Who knows? Life is long.
We have a game coming out in December. That's
Oh,
one
yeah,
thing
that's
that's happening. Negocios Infernales. But yeah, Marvel comic. He just wrote a Ghost Rider, everyone, for Marvel Voices for the Comunidades. So he got to write the new Ghost Rider guy, but about his younger brother, Gabe, I believe his name is. And an ofrenda. An
That is my
ofrenda to
favorite
end all ofrendas.
non-X-Men character in Marvel.
Well, thank you again. Chat, you're awesome. Enjoy all the links. Enjoy your prompt. Write lots of Gothic novels and bring them back and read them on Greg's channel. Bye.
Absolutely. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank
you so
for having
much.
this.
Bye, Zooms.
All right. And that is going to do it for us for today. Just hang on a second whilst I get this addressed. Hang on a second. Don't adjust your TV sets. You're like, wait, there are all these pictures. Everything I believed was true is not. And all of a sudden, everything that I assumed would be accurate was not. And then we don't panic. I'm back. So thank you everybody for a really, really great time. Really enjoyed this a great deal, and it was a great pleasure to be able to share this with all of you. So thank you. And as I said, if you liked what you saw and heard today, there's a lot more where that came from. In fact, on Thursday, we are going to have, tomorrow we're going to have Dungeons & Dragons Community D&D, which I host as always. That'll be happening tomorrow night, so you'll definitely want to stop by for that. But then also, we will have our annual Edgar Allan Poe reading. We always read The Raven, and then another Edgar Allan Poe piece. I don't know yet what it's going to be. I have to decide. But that'll be happening on Thursday evening, starting sometime after 9 p.m. Eastern. I can't say exactly 9 because it depends on how long it takes to get back trick-or-treating with the kids and handing out candy and all that stuff. But it will happen, fear not. So definitely stop back for that. And then, yes, if you were in Canada, in the Ottawa area over the weekend, then please stop by. You'll be able to see Claire. You'll be able to see myself. You'll be able to see a lot of amazing writers doing hopefully awesome and amazing things. And I will be up there Friday evening for a panel. And then I'll be on Saturday. I believe I've got a signing on Saturday. And then I've got that Q&A I mentioned with Ed Greenwood later on that day. And then on Sunday, I will be moderating a panel before I head back home. So that's what we've got going on. But otherwise, thank you to everyone who was here today. Thank you to my wonderful viewers and folks like that. If you like what you saw, please make sure to follow the channel. Check out our YouTube at !ArvTube, Discord, !ArvCord, Twitter, !ArvTweets, Blue Sky, !ArvSky, website, arvanelaron.com, TikTok is !ArvTalk, !ArvShop, that's the the merchandise area if you want to catch some of the stuff that we do on this channel in terms of merchandising. Exclamation point Arv Treon, that is the Patreon, which I am moving down to its accustomed place down here, which gets you some cool stuff, including character backgrounds written for you and epic poems written about you and professional writing critiques and all that kind of stuff if you support there. You can also get inspirations to help our tabletop players. You can also do that if you subscribe to Twitch and get those custom sub badges and emotes that you saw some people using today as people were chatting things up during the readings. So you can do that too. And again, on the publishing side, I've already talked about it, but on my own publishing stuff, Exclamation Point Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. Exclamation Point Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And Exclamation Point Greyshade, I already talked about. Greyshade, Renegade, and Heretic, the Grey Assassin Trilogy. You can get them at that link right now. At that link for purchase from Athos. You can also get the audiobook of Greyshade from our very own Trent Sparks. And you can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade from our very own Brandon O'Brien. And that is going to be coming out from Alligator Alley Entertainment late this year or early next year. And as always, 4 things: Exclamation Point BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation Point Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention, important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And Exclamation Point Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message we will do so for others in that situation in the future. And also, exceedingly important right now, Exclamation Point Vote. If you are an American citizen eligible to vote and within the sound of my voice or within sight of my video, please make sure you have made a plan to vote if you have not done so already. This is not an election we can sit out, folks. There is a very clear and stark and distinct choice. What we talked about tonight was spooky and fun spooky. What would happen if we don't get enough people voting is scary beyond belief. So let us not have real-life Halloween nightmares, please. Let us make sure that we get ready and are able to vote, and spread the word. Tell your family, tell your friends. Make sure you have a way of getting to the polls. I feel cautiously optimistic that this is going to go the right way, but it's only going to happen if we all get out there and vote and let our voice be heard. As I said several times today, voting is a privilege and a right. If you want to maintain the right, then you have to exercise the privilege. So get out there and do that voting, please. Otherwise, that is going to do it for me for this evening. I will see you folks Wednesday evening for Community Dungeons and Dragons Waterdeep Dragon Heist with the Shadow Crew, and back Thursday for our awesome Halloween annual reading from Edgar Allan Poe. Thank you once again to all of the amazing authors tonight who did their readings. Thank them for spending several hours of their time to do that. And thank you once again, as always, to dear friends Claire Cooney and Carlos Hernandez for arranging this and setting this up. Claire for doing the amazing organizational work in getting all these folks together and arranging it. I think it was, as always, a great event. So thank you so much to Claire and Carlos. And thank you to all of you. Thank you to Dragonspear, Triffity Mats, the best mods in the business. Thank you to Dragonspear, Triffity Mats, Write, Teach, Play. Also, I forgot Write, Teach, Play as well. Can't forget that. Thank you to Carlos. Thank you to those folks in Classicor for Patreon support and subscription. And thank you to Darth Sisu, Gru the Wanderer, I Virgil, Jagtris, Mrs. Dunsel Nonstop, Silky, Senti. Thank you to Tanaduel. Thank you to Unquinish and Extra Dead. Thank you everyone so much for being here, and I will see you lovely folks on Wednesday night. Until then, everyone, please be good to each other and have a good night.